This is a 9-patch newsletter block, a 9-patch star, and I'm showing you this today so that we can look again at trimming blocks or trimming squares to make them fit nicely. There are several, well, it looks like there are 8 squares that need to be trimmed in this block. And that's because instead of cutting them at exactly the dimensions, I cut them a tad bit bigger, just a very small amount, but it allows you to trim them and have them exactly what we need is 3.5 inches. So I'm going to get these all out of the way and just show how to trim a simple half square triangle. You need your square ruler, and you need to put the diagonal seam of the block on the ruler, and let me make this a little bit closer so that you can see it better. Put the diagonal line of the ruler onto the seam of the block, and this block needs to finish at 3.5 inches, well, 3.5 inches unfinished so we can sew it together. You may not be able to see, but there's just a slight bit of extra here and a slight bit at the bottom and on each side. So I put my diagonal line on that diagonal seam, and I'm going to trim the top, and then I'm going to flip the block around. Again, lay the diagonal line on the seam. Make sure the block comes to the 3.5 inch line and the 3.5 inch line on the left side, and trim the other 2 sides. The right side again and the top, and we're done. We are going to do that for each one of these blocks, and that will make sure, or will make it much easier to piece this block together when we're done. This is a 9-patch star block that I have partially pieced, and I'm showing it today because I am trimming some of the blocks, some of the squares before I piece them together into their rows. These are some 4-patch blocks, which I have cut the pieces a little bit bigger and then sewn them together, and then we're going to trim them down so that they are exactly 3.5 inches. This is going to be unfinished, but 3.5 inches will make them fit together just very nicely. If you've noticed, I've already trimmed this one and this one, so I'm going to get them out of the way. And I am also going to move some of these other blocks out of the way so that I can put the ones that need to be trimmed down here and show you the trimming. So I have my ruler, which is a square ruler, and my rotary cutter, and I'm going to make this a tad bit bigger so that we can see really well. I guess I'm going to scoot this up or scoot this back so that I can hold the little stinker in my hand. I still need to have him a little bit up. How's that? Will that do better? Perhaps. Okay, I have the ruler positioned onto the block so that the diagonal line of my ruler is laying on the diagonal of the square. And then I make sure that this block is over 3.5 inches all the way around, because I'm going to trim it to 3.5. My diagonal line is on the diagonal, and then I look at the 1 3/4 line, because 1 3/4 is a half of 3.5. I'm going to scoot that down until that dot is right on the 1 3/4 line, here and here, and my diagonal line is still on the diagonal. And I'm going to trim the right side and the top side, because I'm right-handed, this is the easiest way to go. If you're left-handed, you will just opposite of that. Flip around, lay the block down so that the diagonal is on the other diagonal seam. Make sure that your 3.5 lines are on the left side and the lower edge. The diagonal is there, and the 1 3/4 line should be exactly at the point where the 4 pieces meet. And trim again. This way, your unfinished square is now 3.5 inches exactly. And when you go to sew all these squares together, they will fit together just as nice as you please. Thank you for watching my video. And please subscribe to see more of similar videos. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up so I know what people are wanting to see. And if you have any comments or questions or things that you're wanting to see more of, let me know that in the comments too. Thanks again.